Hi everyone, just putting up a short video that'll review the Excel skills that we talked about on the synchronous session on the 12th of February. I'll start from the beginning just so there's a record of it in case you want to refer back to things. So this is Excel. I'm on a Mac. Yours, if you're on a PC or if you're on a different version, maybe a newer version, yours may look a little bit different. These instructions should work, because generally things look the same. The updates to Excel usually are sort of stylistic things, but if you're confused, get in touch with me and we'll talk through everything. So Excel is essentially made up of a group of cells. These are all of these things are sort of cells. If you want to, you could change the you can sort of change the shape of them. That isn't part of what we need to do today, but that is something you could do if you wanted to. The columns, they get letters, so column A, column B, column C, and then the rows go across. They get numbers. So this is row 11, row 7, that kind of thing. Any one cell is named with a combination of the column and the row, so the column letter and the row number. So this is cell B9 is what I've highlighted right here. This is cell A3, and so on and so forth. A group of cells is this is sort of an important feature of Excel, but a group of cells is called an array. And so typically an array could go across a row like this. It could also go down a column. It also could sort of encompass both rows, multiple rows and multiple columns. So if you have an array is named by you start from the top left-hand cell, and then it ends with the bottom right-hand cell, much like the order of reading a page in a book, and there's a colon that separates them. So if I was going to name the array that has data in it, the array would be B2 colon and then E6, and all that is a matter of the first cell and the last cell. So the first cell on the top left and the last cell on the bottom right. Arrays are important because when we start to get into functions, which we'll get into a little bit today, the way we specify an array is with that colon, so with those cell names and with that colon. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the dates in this top row here. So those are cells B1 through E1. You see that I've entered the date up here, and then it's formatting it, and I'm going to show you how to format things here in a second. So I'm just putting in arbitrary dates. You can put in whatever dates that you want. But let's say we wanted to change the formatting. What we would do is right-click on the cell with the cell that we're interested in formatting, and then we would go down to Format Cells, and this dialog would open up. Right-click is if self-explanatory if you're on a PC. If you're on a Mac, a right-click is Control click. So after we right-click, this dialog comes up, and there's a series of things that you can do to the cells. This isn't necessarily part of what we're doing today, but what we're interested in is this number tab, and then this category, and this date category here. There's a bunch of different date formatting options. You can choose whatever one is interesting to you. So I'll go through this again. So it's a right click, it's the number tab, and then the date tab, and like I said, I'm just sort of picking one of these at random. You can, if you want to sort of make this a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient, you can highlight cells and then format all of them at the same time. So to do that, I've just, like I said, dragged my cursor across the screen while holding it down. Right-click again, go to Format, go to this Date tab here, and then I'll just pick this one because that works for me. Okay, and then what we're going to do here is we'll call this question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and question 5, and we're going to add up this column of numbers and put that in this cell here. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So what you can sort of imagine, the scenario here is that we've got a 5-question measure. Again, I've made these numbers up, but we've got a 5-question measure, and what we're interested in is the total of these particular questions. So I've written total here just to help us keep organized. Okay, and then I've put the question numbers in this left-handmost column, column A, again, just to help keep us organized. So to specify a function in Excel, you always start with an equal sign, and that sort of tells Excel what we want to put in this column is whatever the outcome of this function is. So in this case, the function we want is we want to add things up. So that's a sum function, S-U-M, and that is we simply specify that by writing the word sum, and then we put in the array that we want Excel to create the sum of. So we put the array of numbers that Excel will sum. And so this array in this column, for example, is array B2 and then colon to B6. And you can see kind of in my version of Excel, it highlights the cells as you're sort of working through things. So that array goes in parentheses. You hit enter, and it looks like the sum of these 5 numbers is 22. So let me do it again here. So it's an equal sign. The function is sum, and then this array now is C2 to C6. Close parens and enter. Now there is a shortcut I'll show you here. If you again highlight the box with the sum in it, there is a little box over here, and you can drag this out. And what Excel will do is sort of automatically apply the formula to these columns. If we dragged this out one more, we would get the value 0 because Excel is adding up the numbers in this column here, and there aren't any numbers in this case, so it returns 0. But we don't need that. So this is where we are. Okay, so now what we want to do is graph. We want to graph these numbers. Okay, so we're going to highlight the array that we want to graph. Go to Insert. We go over to this chart dialog over here, and then the chart style that I like for single system designs and things like that is line with markers. So we would just click on that, and this is sort of what we would get. I guess I won't resize this just to keep it easy to see. So you can move this around however you need to, but you can sort of see that we've graphed, or it's graphed the number 22 and then 10 for the second day. What's the score on the third day? 16 on the third day, and then 8 on the fourth day. So what we're going to do, this will be sort of the last thing, the last task here, is we're actually going to replace this horizontal axis. These are actually dates, so I'm going to show you how to replace these numbers with dates. So most anything you want to do, or anything you can do to a chart, you get to by right-clicking in the chart, and that's a control click if you're on a Mac. You can go to Select Data, and then you're interested in this this box here, which is horizontal or category axis labels, and you highlight the dates that you want, hit enter. That is essentially telling Excel to pull the dates, or to pull the column label. I'm sorry, the column labels from this section of things in Excel. You hit OK, and then it'll appear, and it should appear in whatever format you've selected up here. So, if yours are written out, for example, February 1st, 2019, in these cells, that should appear down there. Okay. So there are other things you could do to this. You could change the title if you wanted to. We will get to that in future sessions, but that just gives you a little foreshadowing about where we're going. So give it a try, and like I said, any questions, feel free to get in touch.